Page 68. Question 7. Who is Gaveston? Why was he banished and recalled at the beginning of the play? Answer. Piers Gaveston, Piers, the son of a Gascon knight, had been brought up as the foster brother and playfellow of Edward II. He was banished by Edward I. He is recalled from France when Edward II became the king after the death of his father. Question 8. Is an Elysium to a new-come soul? Question 8. Is as Elysium to a new-come soul. Who is a new-come soul? What is meant by Elysium? What is Elysium to the speaker? Answer. The speaker of the line Gaveston is recalled and is in London. He is a new-come soul. London is his Elysium, Elysiam. Elysium is a happy place in Greek mythology. It is Greek heaven where souls live in perpetual bliss. Question 9. What aspect of Gaveston's character is revealed by his treatment of 3 poor men? Answer. 3 poor men approach Gaveston seeking service. Gaveston at first treats them haughtily, but later, thinking that a kind word does not give any pain, he speaks kindly to them and asks them to see him later. This shows that Gaveston is fickle-minded. Haughtiness is mixed with kindness. Question number 10. What amusements does Gaveston plan for Edward II? Answer. Gaveston is ambitious and greedy. He knows that the king, Edward II, is fond of pleasures and amusements, so he wants to draw the pliant king by music, poetry, masks, comedies, etc. Question number 11. A quote. I will have Italian masks. What is a mask? Is there any anachronism here? Is there any anachronism here? Answer. Mask, within quotes, is a dramatic show accompanied by songs and dances. The actors wore masks, masques. In Elizabethan time, the Italian masks were popular, but at the time of Edward II, French influence was prominent in manners and fashions. Question number 12. One like Actaeon peeping through the grove. What is the allusion here? Answer. The story is from Ovid, Metamorphoses, Act 3, lines 138. The hunter Actaeon parted the leaves and saw Diana, the moon goddess, bathing. The goddess in anger changed him to a deer. He ran away, but his hunting dogs tore him to pieces. Question number 13. Who among the barons are the bitterest enemies of Gaveston? Answer. The Earl of Lancaster and the Earl of Warwick are the bitterest enemies of Gaveston. They bitterly oppose the king's desire to have Gaveston back. The 2 Mortimers, Senior and Junior, joined them in opposing the return of Gaveston to England. Question number 14. But for that base and obscure Gaveston. Who says this? What does the speaker mean? Why is Gaveston called base and obscure? Answer. The Earl of Lancaster says this. He means that Edward II as king would receive love and honour from the barons if the king does not recall Gaveston. Gaveston is base and obscure because he is the son of a knight. He is low-born and not prominent. He is an upstart. Question 15. What honours does Edward II bestow on Gaveston? Edward II created Gaveston High Chamberlain, Chief Secretary to the State, and him Earl of Cornwall and Lord of Man. Page 69. Question number 16. Who was Kent? What fluctuating attitudes do you notice in Scene 1, Act 1? Answer. Earl of Kent was half-brother of Edward II. He is represented by Marlowe as a baron who is at first loyal to his brother and asked Edward to take revenge on the hostile barons for trespass of their tongues, within quotes. But later he cannot tolerate Edward II's bestowal of many honours on Gaveston, who is of low birth. Question number 17. Is there historical basis of Edward II's charge against Bishop of Coventry that he was the cause of Gaveston's banishment during the rule of Edward I? Answer. Edward II's charge against the Bishop of Coventry that he was the cause of Gaveston's banishment during the rule of Edward I is historically correct. Fabian, Fabyan, Fabian, who is one source of the history play, records that King Edward I exiled Gaveston on the basis of the complaint of Bishop of Chester that Gaveston had broken the park of the bishop and riotously destroyed the game. Question 18. How did Edward II insult the Bishop of Coventry? Answer. Edward II held the Bishop of Coventry responsible for the banishment of Gaveston. He asked Gaveston to take revenge on him by throwing off his golden mitre, mitre, and rend his ecclesiastical robe and Christian him anew in the Channel. The king asked him to put him to the Tower, the prison. Question 19. Shall be their timeless sepulchre or mine? Who says this? Whose sepulchre is indicated? What is the meaning of timeless? Answer. The Earl of Lancaster says this. He indicates that the ground on which he stands shall be grave of either Gaveston and the king or him. Timeless here means premature. Question number 20. All stomach him, but none dare speak a word. Who says this? Who are all and who is him? What is meant by stomach? Answer. The Earl of Lancaster says this. By all, within quotes, he means the earls and barons, and him, within quotes, means Gaveston. Stomach means angry at Gaveston. Correction. In this context, stomach means to bear with him or to forcefully accept him. Question number 21. That he is thus bewitched. Who says this and about whom? How is the man spoken of bewitched? Answer. The elder Mortimer says this about Edward II the king. He is bewitched by Gaveston. Isabella the queen complains that the king does not regard her and dote upon the love of Gaveston. He claps his cheek and hangs about his neck. So the elder Mortimer says that Gaveston has cast magical charms on the king. Question 22. Is Edward II's love of Gaveston something uncommon? Answer. From the statements of Queen Isabella, it appears that Edward II's love of Gaveston is sensuous. Love between man and man was common in classical age as well as in Elizabethan age. Shakespeare's sonnets are addressed to the Earl of Southampton, and he addresses his friend in amatory language. Question number 23. What indications of Isabella's loving relationship with younger Mortimer are given in the first act? Answer. Isabella addresses younger Mortimer as Sweet Mortimer and asks him not to levy arms against the king for her sake. Such request can be made to a man with whom she has sweet relationship. Page 70. Question 24. Ignoble vassal, that like Phaeton aspirest unto the guidance of the sun. Who says this, and about whom? Explain the image of Phaeton. Answer. This is said by the Earl of Warwick about Gaveston. King Edward II and Gaveston appear, and Edward publicly declares his pleasure in the companionship with Gaveston. Warwick addresses Gaveston as an ignoble slave who aspires to the guidance of the king. The reference here to the story from Ovid, Metamorphoses. Phaeton was the son of Helios, Helios, the sun god. He persuaded his father to let him drive the chariot, but he lost control of the fiery horses and was killed. Question 25. And wander to the unfrequented India. Explain the allusion to unfrequented India. Answer. The reference to India by Edward implies a knowledge of the passage to India, which is an anachronism. The allusion is suitable to the Elizabethan time, when adventures were undertaken to explore new lands and seas. Question 26. So I may have some nook or corner left to frolic with my dearest Gaveston. What aspect of the character of the speaker is revealed in the lines? Answer. King Edward says these lines. He yields to the threat of the barons, who abuse him for favouring base Gaveston. He tries to flatter the barons by promising them good positions. He is ready to sacrifice his kingdom to have a corner to spend time with his favourite Gaveston in pleasures and amusements. Edward II is a weak king, unable to control the barons. His fondness for Gaveston is foolish. Question number 27. If I be king, not one of them shall live. Who says this? What aspect of the character of the speaker is revealed here? Answer. This is said by the King Edward. He makes vain boastings here. He has already yielded to the barons, and when alone, he threatens in helpless anger to kill the clergy and the barons. Edward II is a weak-willed king. Question 28. Fawn not on one French strumpet. To whom is it addressed? Why is the person spoken to is called French strumpet, within quotes? Answer. The line is addressed to the Queen Isabella by King Edward II. He neglects the Queen for his love of Gaveston. The Queen appears and addresses the King politely. The King abuses her as a French strumpet. Isabella came from France and was married to Edward, and asks her to remain out of his sight till Gaveston is recalled. Question 29. That charming Circe, walking on the waves, had changed my shape. Who says this? What does the speaker mean? Answer. Isabella laments her distress for being discarded by her husband Edward II. She wishes to be changed into a rock by Circe, an enchantress who changed the monster Scylla into a rock. Question 30. I mean that vile Torpedo. Who is the Torpedo? Why is the man called Torpedo? Answer. Gaveston is called Torpedo. Torpedo is a fish having power to give electric shock to anyone touching it. Young Mortimer dissuades Queen Isabella from angling for fish, that is Gaveston. Page 71. Question number 31. It is hard for us to work his overthrow. Who says this? Whose overthrow is desired? Why it will be hard to work his overthrow? Answer. Younger Mortimer says this. The overthrow of Gaveston is desired. Gaveston has store of gold, and with that he will purchase friends in Ireland where he goes in exile. He will live and be beloved, and so it will be hard to work his overthrow. Question number 32. What plan does younger Mortimer suggest to get rid of Gaveston? Why does he change his plan of action? Answer. Queen Isabella requests younger Mortimer to repeal the order of banishment on Gaveston. The king has asked her to persuade the barons for the repeal. If she fails, she will not come in his sight. Younger Mortimer has softness for the queen. He therefore produces the plan of getting Gaveston murdered by suborning some base slave. That will purge the kingdom of a plague. Question number 33. But one of those that saith, Quando quidem, and hath a special gift to form a verb. Who says this, and in what connection? What does he mean? Answer. This is said by young Spencer in his conversation with younger Spencer. Both want to attach themselves to Gaveston, king's favourite. They make a display of their learning. Baldock says that he is one who desires to put a thing neatly. Both the characters are objects of ridicule. Quando quidem means, quote, seeing that, unquote. Within brackets, he hints that Baldock gives his reason, bracket closed. To form a verb means to put it neatly. Question 34. The motto Acquitandum. What is meant by Acquitandum? In what connection is this said? Acquiesque, Acquitandum means justly at length. Young Mortimer hints that Gaveston the canker will get justice in the end and be killed. Question 35. Frolics not more to see the painted spring than I do to behold your majesty. Who says this, and on what occasion? With what does the speaker compare himself? Answer. Gaveston says this to Edward II on their reunion. He compares himself with a shepherd who feels glad on beholding the spring with flowers after a period of cold biting winter. Question 36. Dear, shall you both abide this riotous deed? Who says this? What is the riotous deed referred to? What does the speaker say? Answer. King Edward says this. The riotous deed, within quotes, is the attempt by the Earl of Lancaster and young Mortimer to kill Gaveston in the presence of the king. The king says that they shall both pay dearly for their offence. Question 37. Cousin, and if he will not ransom him? About whose ransom it is spoken here? Who says this? What does he intend to do if ransom is not granted? Is it historical? Answer. The ransom of elder Mortimer, who was taken prisoner by the Scots, is referred to here. Younger Mortimer says this. The king would defray the money of £5,000 as ransom demanded by the Scots. If the king refused to ransom him, younger Mortimer would thunder such an appeal into his ears as never a subject did unto his king. Page 72. There had been no foreign war at this time. This is unhistorical, but it provides pretext for quarrel with Edward. Question 38. What are the charges brought by the barons against Edward II? Answer. The barons wanted the king to ransom elder Mortimer, who was taken prisoner by the Scots. The king refused to pay the ransom. The barons accused the king of drawing the treasury empty by idle triumphs, masks, and obscene shows. England was threatened with rebellion of the Irish and the attacks of Scots. The English king was defeated at the Battle of Bannockburn. Question number 39. Wigmore shall fly to set my uncle free. Who says this? What is Wigmore? What does the speaker mean? Answer. Younger Mortimer says this. Wigmore is Wigmore Castle, the property of Younger Mortimer. Younger Mortimer says that his property will be sold to defray the ransom of his uncle, Elder Mortimer. Question number 40. Look next to see our ensign spread. Who says this? What does the speaker mean here? Answer. The Earl of Lancaster says this. He means that they will revolt against the king and see him in the battlefield. Question 41. Why did Kent go against the King Edward II? Answer. Kent, Edward II's half-brother, was at the beginning loyal to the king, but he goes against the king when he sees that for love of Gaveston, the kingdom is on the verge of civil war and ruin. He asks Edward to banish Gaveston forever. Edward is enraged and rejects him. Question 42. How comes it that the king and he is parted? Who asks the question and to whom? What is the answer? Answer. Young Mortimer asks why the king and Gaveston are parted. Gaveston has gone away to Scarborough at the behest of the king. Isabella answers that the king and Gaveston are parted so that the army of the barons, going several ways, may be of lesser force than the king will find it easy to suppress the barons. Question 43. That heading is one, and hanging is the other, and death is all. Who says this and when? What aspect of the speaker's character is revealed here? Answer. Gaveston says this when he is caught by the barons at Scarborough. Warwick orders to hang him. Later, he modifies the sentence by ordering to behead him. Gaveston then makes this cynical remark. Hanging and beheading both mean death. Gaveston remained proud till the end. He is at the mercy of the barons, but still he retains his scorn for the barons. Question 44. Leave him on, had I wist, and let him go? Who says this and on what occasion? What does the speaker mean? Answer. The Earl of Warwick says this when Pembroke undertakes the task of taking Gaveston to the king to gratify his desire to see Gaveston before his death. The Earl of Warwick opposes it and says that they have taken Gaveston and they cannot leave him in repentance, had I known what had happened, and allow him to go.